How about we have a good laugh at some baseball bullies getting theirs? The Washington Nationals are playing a game against the Phillies, so games from here on out really don't matter all that much. At the bottom of the 8th inning in a tie game, 22-year-old Bryce Harper cuts way under a ball and hits it high into left field. Harper, upon realizing that he's obviously out, doesn't hustle to first base and instead just kinda moseys his way on down there, which, to be fair, you should always run out pop flies because there is always that potential that the player fielding it could drop it. Him just strolling down to first could be seen as disrespectful, I guess, if you're a real stickler about that sort of thing, but come on, is Jonathan Papelbon. Papelbon was known as a bit of a psycho, from screaming matches with umpires, which, to be fair, that one's sort of common, to hitting people in the most blatant way possible and adjusting his crotch at his own fans. Now, don't get me wrong, he was good, but he was definitely known to be a bit of a loose cannon at times. As soon as Harper gets back to the dugout, he immediately starts talking to him about how he needs to run that ball out. That sends Papelbon over the edge. He immediately lunges at Harper and starts choking him with both hands like he's a certain SpongeBob villain. Papelbon goes back to his standing position and just starts smiling. Papelbon was suspended for 4 games due to this altercation, which ended his season even though there was 7 games left. It's because he was given a different suspension for almost hitting Manny Machado in the head during a recent game. So yeah, that was it. Off for the rest of the season for him, I guess. GG. Papelbon came back for one more season with the Nationals in 2016. He had easily his worst season ever in 2016. Within 1 year after attacking Bryce Harper in the middle of a game, Papelbon's previously electric career had come to an end. After this Guardians-White Sox game ended on August 5th, 2023, accused White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson of repeatedly having dirty tags on runners, and Anderson's tags were so unnecessarily violent and forceful that he could legit hurt someone with them. From what I've read while researching this though, this all really kicked off because of a game that happened on July 27th of that year. Guardians first baseman Josh Naylor imitated a base hit celebration that a former White Sox player did, and Tim Anderson didn't like that very much. Maybe tag him. Watch at the very end of this. He knocked his hand off with the glove. The question then becomes, do you consider it officially knocking his hand off, or did his hand come off before the glove pushed him? So at this point, everyone on both sides is just kind of angry at each other, with Anderson being the one who's really going hard with it. So when Jose Ramirez hits this ball fair into right field and sprints his way to second, he dives right between Anderson's legs, who's standing directly over the bag, and slides in safe. Ramirez looks up at Anderson, who he feels has been teabagging him for just a little too long for comfort, and tells him basically, bro, get out of the way. So he gets up and starts getting in his face and pointing at him. Anderson gives him a shove, and now all bets are off. It's go time, baby. Trust me. A few teammates step in to break it up, and while being pulled back, Ramirez gets one final shot, and oh boy, it's a clean swipe. Down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson.
The reason he was so ready to go off in these games was because he was going through some stuff in his personal, except that stuff that Anderson is referring to as he got caught cheating on his wife of 7 years. So yeah, good job on that one, buddy. Since then, Anderson has been one of the worst performing players in Major League Baseball. Oh God, come on.
So he pulled out the dirtiest trick in the book. Piazza immediately thought it was intentional, and Clemens did have a bit of a reputation as a headhunter. Mike Piazza breaks his bat on a pitch thrown by Roger Clemens. Clemens throws the piece of the broken bat at Piazza. Everybody in the world seems to think Roger Clemens is at fault here. Best pitchers in history to this point, he doesn't recognize the texture of a baseball bat versus a baseball. Then, in 2002, Clemens had to go face the New York Mets at Shea Stadium for the first time since all this happened. Everyone is expecting him to get drilled. You get one shot, one opportunity before the umpire calls this off.
Roger, what did you think of the pitch? I'm asked it's been all right after that. Anything else about the game? Batting. Pitchers don't really put much attention into hitting, so them doing well against you is not a very good look. What do you think happened in that first game Clemens had to face the music against the Mets? Oh, and for good measure, Piazza also hit a home run off him that game. To further add to the karma of this, in Clemens' home of Texas. Clemens and Piazza were the pitcher-catcher combo to start the 2004 All-Star Game, and it's generally accepted that Mike Piazza told the opposing hitters what pitches were going to come, so Clemens would get shelled in his hometown. And also, Piazza is in the Hall of Fame, and Clemens is level. Jordan Hicks is making his debut for the Cardinals in 2018. Here's a little clip to show you what I'm talking. 104 to 105, back to 104, then another 105 is crazy. Needless to say, he's got to play. Caught the attention of Cardinals veteran reliever Bud Norris. Love, a dying tradition, as Cardinals manager Mike Matheny called it, of teaching younger players in the harshest possible way. Like he's a 70-year-old boomer complaining about Gen Z snowflakes. A lot of the exact information on how he would reprimand Hicks is unknown, as it wasn't usually in front of the public about it. It seems more along the lines of hazing versus just getting after him for being late to meeting. Hicks wasn't the only target of Norris's berating, but he was by far the most freaky meg. But Norris was 33 years old and Jordan Hicks was 20 years, especially with Norris having a decent season as the Cardinals closer in 2018 again. A 28-save closer's career ended the same year he decided to start pestering and tormenting a kid who could throw 105 instead of, being a good teammate and a decent human being and making the kid feel comfortable so he could blow 105 by other teams. What happened? Hicks was interviewed about the behavior and treatment he'd been receiving from Norris, and when asked by a reporter if he thinks it will one day pay dividends in his career, he said, "I have no idea. Nope. Hey, call me a Gen Z snowflake if you want, but in my opinion, I don't think being an abrasive douche constantly is the peak of leader. The army. These guys aren't going to war, they're just playing baseball and getting paid millions at the game. And if you're as frustrated with this guy as I am, don't worry, because his career fizzled out pretty quickly after that season, like I said. But I think the way this article I used while researching ends is a pretty good send, but he can at least rest on the knowledge that he did his best to preserve his personal vision of baseball. What a goober. Definitely hate him. Ladies and gentlemen, Albert Bell. Before even getting drafted, he already had a reputation of being an unhinged, angry psycho. He was suspended and kept from playing in the College World Series in 1987 after chasing down a spectance. During his first MLB season, he became a raging alcoholic, and I mean raging. He was sent back down to the minors after the season and was also forced to do 10 months of rehab after he apparently got drunk and destroyed a bathroom. After hearing one of the fans in the stands taunting him, he picked up a ball and nailed him in the chest with it. But the fact that he actually did it is just ridiculous. He received a 6-game, I'd probably say deserved, something. In a game against the White Sox, one of Bell's bats was confiscated. And so his team, knowing that the bat was corked while it was still in the locker room before they had a chance to inspect it, sent his teammate Jason Grimsley to go get it back. Disaster. Bell ended up getting suspended for 7 games over the 3. He was mad that there was so many reporters in this, and went on a 5-minute-long profanity-laced tirade screaming at NBC reporter Hannah police when he chased down some teenagers in his car after they egged his house. Besides all these crazy situations and suspensions, apparently he was just overall a terrible guy to exist. Apparently he was extremely abrasive to everybody, not just everybody. Stories like this are everywhere with this guy. He did a Mortal Kombat finishing move on another player. There was that. And for good measure, telling base runners on his own team not to score easy runs when other people get big hits, so he could get the credit for driving them in next. Bell was slowly getting his comeuppance in other ways, having controversially lost the 1995 AL MVP award to Stark-Raven sports friend Mo Vaughn, though. Later, he became the first player in MLB history to make $10 million in one season. 34. Actually, just calling it a hip injury doesn't really do it justice. It's actually kind of sad. He literally developed degenerative arthritis in his hip, so that really suck. His hip pain just got so bad that by spring training of 2001, doctors concluded that he was physically unable to play baseball. Ended. In many ways, it's almost karma for having a persistent, never-ending reputation as the meanest, surliest guy you could possibly have on your team anymore. An interview he did on the Chris Rose rotation does provide reasonable hope that Bell has turned a corner and isn't the type to consistently push around any time he played, though. And as the villain of his own story in baseball, he was defeated by his own body on behalf of everyone he wronged as a player. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for watching. As per usual, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe.